Good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, September 10th, and it is 6:35 p.m. I would like to go ahead and get our first budget hearing to order. If I can please have a moment of silent meditation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I please have roll call, Madam Clerk?
Roll call, Mayor Cubillos.
Here.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Councilperson Mathis.
Present.
Councilperson Narbonne.
Present.
Councilperson Roman is not here, will not be here today. Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, Christy Alou, Village Manager, Norman Powell, Interim Village Attorney, Chief Magnuson, and in representation of the CFO, Mr. Harvey.
May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval.
Motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis. Is there a second?
Second, Madam Mayor.
Second by Vice Mayor Nickerson. All in favor of approving the agenda, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the agenda for the first budget hearing passes. Acknowledgement of visitor and special presentations. Thank you all for being here today. I know we all have a lot of places to be on a Tuesday night, especially home making dinner for our families, but we thank you for taking the time to be with us today, this evening. With that said, good and welfare. At this time, if anybody would like to come up and at 3 minutes, please state your name and address for the record. Please speak into the microphone.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Lightfoot Ward, 415 Northwest 88th Terrace. Just want to bring to the council's, the mayor and the council's attention that there was an article in the Biscayne, in the community news, that talked about the rising seawall. I mean, this rising water. The
Sea level rise.
Sea level rise, that's what I want to say, but I want to talk more about for just a minute. In this article, if you didn't see it in the Biscayne Corridor community news, this article featured other cities that also have the problem that we're having in terms of the septic tanks. As a matter of fact, it featured Christine McLean, right up the street from me, a neighbor right up the street from me, who indicated we that sit around this table right now probably dead and gone when El Patel starts having a problem, but we have the problem on the seawall. And so benefit of those that live on the river are being impacted first. Fortunately, my insurance company 20 years ago found out that I was not in a waterplain area. The city manager at the time did not distribute the letter, and it was because of Councilman Mathis. As a matter of fact, we live along the same line, and when I found out that he didn't have to pay for water, floodplain, did not have to pay for it because he wasn't in it, and my latitudinal line lines up with his across the village. That gave me some relief because my insurance company wrote me right away and said, no, you will not be paying anything for flooding because I don't live in a floodplain. I'm not even close, and yet I live 3 blocks. Baby, isn't it about, we 3 blocks from the river? We're about 3 blocks from the canal. It's called the Little River, but it is actually a canal. I want the council to notice for that article, it mentioned the other cities that having the same situation, the same problem. Those are the cities that I was talking about when I spoke, when the lobbyists started saying that we need options. We don't need options, we need other people to speak up in favor. And those other cities that have the same thing that we have are not only, they mention us first, El Portel, Miami Shores, Biscayne Park, Biscayne Shores, North Miami Beach, and Ogis. I think our lobbyists need to be talking to these people so that we can know that this is going to be a conglomerate effort if ever we are to address this appropriately. And appropriately simply means, don't tell me don't tell us on 88th Terrace that we got to pay for septic sewer. Close the septic, open the sewer, and we're the only ones because the infrastructure is right there at the house, because I'm the only person in the village that signed the petition that said I wanted something done with my drainage on my street. That was 10, 15 years ago. Maybe. So my thought is, there is a solution, but we got to be a conglomerate to get this thing rolling. However, it is not an emergency. But if you've seen Christine, what's Christine's first name? I mean, last name?
Christine McLean.
Christine McLean. If you've seen Christine McLean's, it's beautiful. It's a landscape. It really is a landscape front yard, because they did a charming garden out of it. But the article says the toxic world beneath your feet. The charming garden at Christine McLean's front yard is hiding something. What's it's hiding? It's hiding her sewer tank, her septic tank. And it's pretty. It's very pretty. But it's unsightly for a lot of people. I think it's pretty because it's different. It's unique. I like it. And they did a good job. The gentleman did a very good job. So when we're talking to our lobbyists, don't tell me that this little village has to afford what's going to basically, as you said, Mayor, price everybody out. Not going to even be able to afford septic, from septic to sewer. They won't. And that's the kind of it's not the running up to the Tallahassee or Washington to talk to people. It's simply having a conglomerate of neighborhoods represented in this same objective together and working a solution together. That is my only comment for this evening, and because we are scant in attendance, I hope this budget meeting goes well. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ward. Anybody else for good and welfare? Okay, hearing none, we're going to open it up to the meeting. First agenda item is Resolution 2019-17, which is the final adoption. If I could please have the attorney read it into the record.
Resolution number 2019-07, a resolution of the Mayor and Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, of Miami-Dade County, Florida, adopting the final levy of ad valorem taxes of 8.30 mils, which is more than the rollback rate of 7.7626 mils by 6.47% for the Village of El Portal of Miami-Dade County for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, providing for an incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Would you like, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and council, I present to you the 2019-2020 budget. I gave you my recommendations back in July in our budget workshop. We went through item by item at that time, and I addressed each concern raised by each council person in each individual budget, be it public works, public affairs, police, what have you. I think we have a very good and conservative budget. We are within, I mean, we did not get much of an increase this year, which is fine. We did utilize the little bit that we did receive for our police department. So I welcome any questions you may have. However, we have gone through this individually. I've gone through this with each of you council persons. So if there's anything more, I'm here to entertain that. I also have Chief Magnuson here, who is also available for any questions you may have about the police necessities this year.
Before we move forward, is there a motion to adopt the resolution 2019-07?
I'll motion.
And I'll open it up for the public. Motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Vice Mayor Nickerson. Any discussion from the council before I open it up, or any questions before I open it up to the public
About the agenda, any agenda item?
about the resolution?
No questions about the resolution.
Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close the budget hearing and open up for any public comments about this agenda item, which is the resolution for the final adoption of the ad valorem. State your name and address for the record, and the microphone, please.
Just for the record, Dr. Lightfoot Ward, 415 Northwest 88th Terrace. If there was going to be a rollback Would we have had to do that the meeting prior when we were in the workshop recommending that, or no? Because you had to send something to the property appraiser at that time.
Proposed.
Just a yes or no answer, that's all.
Yes, we would have had it done it before, yes.
We would have had it then. The resolution in itself suggests that the levy of the ad valorem at 8.3, which is more than the rollback rate, we would have had to roll it back at that time, right?
And agreed upon it then.
By 6.4, the Village of El Portel of Miami-Dade County providing for an incorporation. Let the record show that the next year, if you want to talk to this item, you would have had to talk to it at the workshop. Well, we could have rolled it back, have recommended a rollback at that point. In that it was not recommended, I sure hope this item passes quickly so we can get on to what we need to do tonight.
Thank you. Any other questions? And just to clarify a little bit, I'm going to close public comments and open up for the council. Just to clarify what Anna Ward said, this is an agenda item that goes, this is a second hearing. So this is a second reading of it. So the first reading was done in early August, which generally would have been done at the July council meeting. So this is definitely an item that we cover in the month of July after a workshop. And we talk about what it would look like if we would roll it back. If we all looked at our tax bill, which I looked at both of mine, and I realized the dollar value that we're paying differently, it's not that we increased your taxes, it's that your property values have increased. As a result, we're paying more. If we rolled it back, it would mean that we would pay less, but it would also mean that the village would receive less, and we won't be able to provide the services as well as we'd like to, or better than we'd like to if we did. My recommendation at some point with the council that would be here is, as we move forward with economic development, which has been our sole focus this past year to really get some of these projects moving, which will help alleviate that money so we can have more money, then that'll be a good time and an opportunity to consider rolling back the ad valorem, because we'll have the difference made up in economic development. But this is definitely a conversation that happens in June and July. One of the things that I've made a mental note in my calendar is to remind the community in May that this is something that's going to be coming up. I think we all know it, but then it just kind of, kids get out of school, summer happens, some of us go on vacation, some of us are doing things in the house, and then we get the tax bill, we're like, oh my goodness. So it's going to be something that I think the community needs to remember in May, that it's a conversation that we have over the summer through a workshop and through the July council meeting. But again, if you have any comments to leave it, this would be the time, or any questions, to definitely ask us so that you would at least have a better understanding to how we move forward. Any other questions or comments from the council
No, Madam Mayor.
on this resolution? Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, can I have roll call?
Councilperson Urban.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
We're moving on to the second resolution, which is the adoption of the budget. Resolution 2019-08, if I can please have the attorney read it into the record.
Yes, resolution number 2019-08, a resolution of the Mayor and Village Council of the Village of El Portel, Florida, of Miami-Dade County, Florida, adopting and approving the annual operating budget of $2,474,929 for fiscal year 2019 through 2020, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2019-08?
Approval with discussion.
Yes. Councilperson Mathis has made it a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second, Madam Mayor,
Second.
with discussion.
We have a motion and discussion on the council. So, council, any discussion before I open up to the public?
Do you want to open up to the public first and then we can?
We can. I'll close up the budget hearing and open up to the public. Do you all have a copy of the budget? They're on the piano. They're on the, ma'am, they're on the piano. They're on top of the piano. If you have, you can take a moment to review it, and if you have any questions, feel free to go to the podium.
Dr. Lightfoot Ward, 415 Northwest 88th Terrace. General comments about the budget. The 2.2 million is what we came out of the workshop with, yes? Somewhere in that number, right? And the special revenue funds, we knew about them, now they're certain at 187,000. And I'm answering the question, yes, that's what we're talking about. $2.4 million budget. Bit high in a city that we are engaged in at this point in time, but there's not a thing we can do about it at this point. We have gotten through, and I'm saying this for the benefit of the public. I don't really want a response right now. I just want to say this for the benefit of the public. We are growing. We are actually growing, but we don't know how. We just know that I wanted to call them predatory real estate people, but I can't do that because it turns out it's not the predatory real estate people, it's the folks that's bringing in money into this city, raising property values, and not a word being said. I would like to propose, because we don't have to pay like this. There's no way in the world my what do we pay, honey? This was 25 years ago. 25 years ago, when I divide the number of years I've been in my house and the amount of money I paid for it is astronomical. There's no way in the world a house should cost $500,000 in this village of El Portel. Most of them are 2-bedroom houses at that. You got to redo your house to get a 3-bedroom house. Most of them have an infrastructure on the roof that's been there since the 50s, and my side of town was the last side of town that was built. There's no way in this world. But when we invite that type of money without anything said, I want a resolution going up to our Congress people to minimize. And we can't do it here in the city. It's a state objective. Minimize the rate of the property tax and its increase. Because the only thing that's happened in El Portel is predatory lending. That's the only thing that's happened in El Portel. We got people coming in selling their houses for tremendous amount of money. And I'm not ashamed to say I bought my property. We bought it for $68,000 back in 1993. Now you tell me the tax collector says it's worth $268,000. The realtor will put it on the market for $450,000. Why? Not only is it the historical property, it is also the property that built all the other ones. Why? It was the model house. I live in the model house. And if I'm going to be jacked up thinking about this in situations gone in, and it's inheritance property today, how in the world is anybody going to be able to, my salary, the young people's salaries are not as high as this. And that newspaper that you have over there says that young people can't afford a house today. Predatory lending and crazy prices. Come on, village, we can do better by it. So if we got a lobbyist doing one of two things for us this next term around, the first one is that sewer situation and that wall, the seawall. The second one is this craziness. There should be a way that we can restrict pricing in this city in terms of how we sell our properties. Nobody here should be left out of the equation or losing their house because the next door neighbor's house came in at a $500,000. It is not even a mansion. Come on, people, we don't have to sit back and accept this. But as long as we do, we will have a budget that increases every year. Madam Manager, I want to commend you for your recommendations on the budget. We had a hard time with our workshop, and we're having a hard time right now, but this is where it stands. Not because we want it to stand there, but because it is. So I want solutions so that people will be welcome to come back in. We're getting older, people. I came here when I was 40 years old. I came back to my state that I was born in, back to a city that told me to get out of here, and I wasn't welcome. Mr. Police Chief ran my brother away and almost lynched another one. And I came back here to live here, to straighten it out. Well, somebody had already straightened it out for me. But I'm here now. I'm in the city that I wanted to live in. But I don't want to think that the next generation will not be able to live in El Portal because of the price of a beautiful city that doesn't do a whole lot of fancy stuff. We still got a road out here. Every time I run across it, my husband's telling me got to go change the tire, do the lining. I want it to stay where we can have the city that we have without knowing that we're scaring people away, good, hardworking people away because they cannot afford a 2-bedroom, basically a 2-bedroom house. This side of town, most of the houses are 2 bedrooms. Mine just happens to be 3 bedrooms and a much larger lot than most of these people don't even have a lot. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that, Council.
Thank you, Anna. Any other comments? Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Constance Clare, 480 Northwest 89th Street.
Welcome.
Thank you. I have 2 personal concerns. First of all, I'm a new property owner. My loved one just recently passed away last year, and now this is quite new to me. And 2 concerns. One, in the front of my home, on the road, the surface of the road, there has been potholes. I call them potholes. They come and they go, they come and they go. When there's flooding, you don't know that there's a pothole and you're driving and boom. So it takes a toll on the cars, okay? What does El Portal foresee in trying to get the potholes, some of the surfacing of the roads that have like a curve in them? When it rains, there's a puddle in some of the front of the yards. Okay, is that supposed to be the responsibility of the resident to fix that? Because it is a part of the street. Or is it El Portal's responsibility?
Can you repeat your address again, please?
480 Northwest 89th Street.
Okay.
Okay.
When there is a pothole, generally the manager gets an email and she sends out our public works gentleman to go out there, and she chooses, we choose one or two ways to fix it. We can do it internally or we get a quote for it. But most of the potholes that have come in, if it's within a reasonable, like under 5,000, she'll go ahead and do it. Especially if it's hazardous to people running, children walking, cars, and all of that. I recall running in this town, and I tripped and I fractured my ankle. So I'm very familiar with that. But the key thing is letting us know. Some of the potholes, I don't want to say most or some, but some of them generally get fixed as long as she's made aware of it.
And if I may, Ms. Clare, we also have, as you know, an issue with drainage and flooding. And because of the flooding, the roads are so weak. We have talked to some independent contractors about resurfacing. They won't do it because they say that you got a flooding issue. You fix the flood, get a storm drain in, or address it with our stormwater program, and then they can resurface. So we're
sense.
I know it's amazing, but we are definitely going to try to.
Property taxes still goes up high.
Well, we are.
And we're still paying.
We're trying to get some money from Tallahassee and get some partnerships from the county to work on stormwater drainage. In fact, I was just out with our engineer yesterday trying to get another easement to fix some stormwater drainage over on Northeast 86. But I have your address. We'll ride by tomorrow, and I'll knock on the door and let you know what we can do.
I do go to work during the regular days. So, I mean,
Okay.
it'll
Well,
have to be
we'll
after
leave
5.
a
You can
note
leave a
then.
note. The second concern is trees. It's beautiful. I love the overlying trees on the streets. Is it El Portal's responsibility to cut away the branches that are coming over the streets into a neighbor's yard, or is it my responsibility as a resident of El Portal to cut the branches from a neighbor's yard that has overgrown into my property, which has had branches fall onto cars in my property? Or am I supposed to do it? because I just recently pruned a pretty large, I forgot what kind of olive tree I have in my yard. It costs almost $1,000 just to prune a few branches. But in so doing, I even asked the code enforcer, about whose responsibility it is. Okay, and he gave some excuse, it's going to take some time. And, if I want to, I can talk to my neighbor and we can come up with something. But I found out that some of my neighbors, when they cut some of the branches or cut the tree down tremendously, they were fined. They were fined. So are we fined for cutting the trees down? Are we fined for cutting the tree branches that's coming over to the street in El Portal? What is it that is my responsibility when it comes to the trees and the overgrowing of branches into my property?
If the tree is on your property, the tree is your responsibility. If the tree is on your neighbor's property, it's their responsibility.
What part of the tree you're talking? I'm talking about the branches, not the tree itself. The tree's here, but the branches are coming over.
But the tree is on your neighbor's property? Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I do in that situation, because I live here and I have that happening, I knock on their door and I let them know that, my guy's going to be here, or the crew's going to be here within a week or so, and that we're going to be trimming it. And generally, they'll be like, oh, no, we'll take care of it, because at least I give them a time frame. Usually it's the second and the fourth Saturday that they're going to be here. Your tree's going to be trimmed because it's completely over my yard. That's what I've done, and that's what most residents, I think, do, because that's really become something civil. It's amongst, neighbors. We can't go in and really get involved unless the tree is an El Portal tree that's on the swale or anything of that nature.
Okay.
I wanted to say something about your first point, though, because you're on the west side of Horaceman. One of the things also on the west side of Horaceman is the conversion of septic to sewer that has been on a conversation for several years, 2 years now. And just recently, we were approved by the school board an easement so that we could have the lift station. That was the component that was needed for us to move forward. Well, that easement has been a verbal agreement, and now it's going to go before the committee and the council. If that happens and we move forward, there could be the conversion happening on the west side. So there's going to be workshops. There has been a lot of workshops about this conversation already, but part of the items that we have not maybe rectified in the west side of Horaceman, because there's a few, because I know there's a resident that continually emails me, Japa, over on 88 Terrace, I believe, that there's a pretty bad pothole over there. But if we're going to convert to septic to sewer, the roads are going to be ripped. So they're going to be broken up anyway. So at that point, then we would rectify it. But either way, we'll take a look at it. But just be mindful and just be aware of emails if you're not receiving our emails, to definitely come in the loop of that conversation, because it's going to definitely affect your home.
Okay, and when you do have the final approval for the septic tanks and the easement and the reconstruction of the roads, is it going to be coming onto the property? I mean, how far inland of the property is it going to be that is going to be messing up people's properties when you start on the west side of Horaceman?
Yeah, the phase one, this is a separate conversation, so I don't want to get too much into it, but phase one, there are going to be several meetings as we move forward with the project. There'll be workshops and there'll be town halls. Some of your, Anna Ward was here for some of the town halls that we had. So just definitely, if you're not receiving our email blast, you're going to want to receive it, because we will be putting out information about the town hall, so you can ask all those questions.
So where do I get my email?
There is a signage, give me 1 second. There is a signage up over the piano, right by Officer Burrell. He's holding it. If you put your name in your email, the clerk will be sure to put your name on the list so that you can start getting your emails, okay?
All right, thanks. That's it for now.
And, yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, at the last Peacock Express, which is available online, we had a discussion concerning what happens when your neighbor's tree encroaches on your property, and there's a discussion. So if you go online to our Peacock Express, the last edition.
When they treat what?
What happens if your question was what happens when your neighbor's tree or your tree encroaches on each other's property? If you go to our last Peacock Express, there's a discussion there concerning that.
Okay, all right. I think that's it for now.
Yeah, the newsletter can be found on the village website.
Okay,
El
thanks.
Portal Village.
Right.
No, thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public comments and open it up back to the council for questions or comments to the manager.
Madam Mayor.
Vice Mayor Nickerson?
Councilperson Matthews, are you, can I begin, or are you good? Thank you very much, appreciate it. First off, I want to say thank you to the manager and the clerk for working so hard. Like, especially like last week, they were working to the very end, and even like yesterday when I was here, we were all trying to work and get everything together. Can everybody for a second turn to the Public Affairs department page?
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
A couple of questions. Yeah. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you. So I see the newsletter has been updated. Also, the League of Cities dinner, appreciate that, has been updated. The PBA dinner was moved, of course, to the police that was there. What else do we have? I was looking at I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I remember Councilperson Roman. She said something. She mentioned about the Miami Shores Gala dinner. She wanted on here also.
Mayor's Ball, you mean?
No, because remember we went to the Miami Shores.
The Mayor's Ball.
It's the same thing.
The
yeah,
Mayor's
it's
Ball.
the same
Sorry
thing,
about that.
yeah.
Sorry about that. But I remember she said she wanted it because we were talking about how we want, like, she said we should start going to all of those things. Because we mentioned the League of Cities thing, but I remember she said herself personally she wanted the Miami Shores or the Mayor's Ball Gala on there.
I didn't even see it on here.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
I can address that because I recall that conversation too.
Sorry.
I wanted to talk about that because I know, we bought a table and we were all present, and I just wanted to see what everybody else thought about that. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not for it. It's what, the will is of the council on that one, because I've gone every year, and I know that sometimes other people offer us tickets, but it would be nice for us to do that too for our residents. So it's what you all want to do with that.
Councilperson Mathis, any comments?
With regards to that?
To that item, yes.
No.
Councilperson Urban? My only comment is, as you all heard in the State of the Village, and I'll repeat myself again, I think it's really important that all of us make a concerted effort to establish relationships. A lot of things happen through relationships. That's League of Cities, Miami Shores, Biscayne Park, because when we can't call our neighbors when we need something. We need to establish better relationships. For example, at the National Night Out, I believe when there were our residents parking in the swales of Miami Shores and Miami Shores police officers calling on our residents, I think that if we can establish better relationships, I think those things can be mitigated. But it takes more than going to a dinner, it takes more than going to a gala. That's just the beginning. It's up to us to continue and fertilizing that relationship through phone calls, through going to some of their meetings, going to some of their events. That's where the camaraderie and the collaboration, I believe, is important. So no, if you go to a dinner, is it going to be value added? Not if you don't do anything else, but I think that there needs to be a collection of things, and it's not just the mayor, it's all of us. We need to develop relationships with all of our counterparts in the surrounding cities, because that's how greatness can really happen if we work a little better together. That's sort of my point on that.
Just wanted to bring it up. I don't know. I mean, I agree with you, Madam Mayor. I don't know what you guys want to do about it. I wanted to bring that up. I mean, I guess in the same role, I don't know what we're going to do about, because she also mentioned, because of that meeting, we mentioned that we didn't go to the 5,000 role models, Martin Luther King breakfast. And Councilperson Roman said that she would like to attend that. She would like for us to attend that, as we have done in the past. I believe this year might have been the first one we missed, Madam Mayor, because me and you usually go. I'm on 5,000 role models, so I usually end up getting up and standing up at the dinner. I have to go to the front to shake all the hands of the new members. But I remember Councilperson Roman specifically said she wanted that also, because this was when we were talking about all these type of events. So I don't know, like I said, I'm not here to force anybody, but I'm just bringing these things up.
I do have a question. I mean, I'm okay with adding things as long as we delete somewhere else, so we don't have to move the totality of the dollar. So I'm thinking, Horseman Middle, we've allocated 1,000, but given the relationship that we're about to enter, what's gonna go before the council for consideration based on the easement, maybe we can use that towards either the gala or the Easter egg hunt. I mean, we can reallocate. I mean, I know we're making recommendations that you will go back with Erwin and Rodney, and you all will put the numbers together and reallocate so that at the end, it's the bottom line numbers that don't change, because then it will affect the resolution. So,
And that's fine with me.
so I think that if you take the comments, then you make those comments or edits, but that's an opportunity maybe there.
And I'm fine with that. Just to speak about the galas and events, we did add some. My concern with buying tables is filling the tables. And so I think if we reallocate that $1,000 from the Horseman and maybe put that towards the Miami Shores Gala or toward the Easter egg hunt, or if you all find another way we can accommodate that, I would prefer to do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the Easter egg hunt probably is the most important. I mean, that's probably more important than us going to. So that's probably like the number one thing we should probably look at. Because I saw that with the Easter egg hunt wasn't budgeted, so.
Yeah, I do believe the Easter egg hunt needs to be added,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
if you all can work the numbers to add the Miami Shores dinner, which is installation of a board of some kind. If you all can work that out and send it back to us, if you
Yes.
can make that happen without changing numbers. Vice Mayor Nicholson, did you have something else? Or Councilperson Math on public affairs?
No, I didn't.
You had those two? Councilperson Mathis?
And speaking about the whole topic of events and so forth, if I'm not mistaken, I remember Lillian Pico said on the record that she would take over the Easter egg event. But I thought we were going to be in the position of trying to limit the council's involvement in village activities and try to get the women's club to start doing these events and so forth.
I had a meeting after that, after our workshop. I mentioned to you all that I was meeting with Maribel Fruitstone, and we did. I actually met with her and Zamira Diaz, but they have not gotten back to me. But I did have a meeting with them probably about a week after a workshop, and I know that travel, kids, summer. So I'm hoping now that the dust has settled and Dorian did not come this way, and hopefully we'll be free of others, that they'll reach out to me. But I did reach out to them and go over exactly what we had discussed, and I have not gotten a call or an email back.
I have just a couple of questions from
Councilperson Urban.
from notes. Okay, regarding the 5K run, I have a note here that there was a question at the last meeting regarding, there was $2,000 in sponsorship revenue, and I believe there was just a question about whether or not that was part of the total here or properly accounted for, so I just was curious to know.
Yeah, I've considered that as well, and I've reached out to our CFO team for the breakdown of the events. And is there do you have any information about the breakdown of what was revenue, what was donated for 5K? I don't think we've gotten that answer yet.
What my larger question is just if this number is, if this number is accurate, regardless of how the itemization breaks down, but.
Yeah, the
Okay.
number is accurate.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
know what is,
Okay.
revenue. What
I think at the last meeting, there was a question about whether or not the sponsorship revenue had been included in that $2,500.
Right, and that part I
Right.
don't have the answer to.
Okay. And then I have a note here from the last meeting regarding the Christmas event about an itemized inventory because of the difference of the adopted budget at 1,000 and then the $2,000 increase. Would we have an itemized invoice from that event?
It was requested. I have not received that yet from our CFO team. When I get it, I can share it
Okay.
with our council.
Because in theory, pending what that itemized invoice looks like, there may be room in there
Switch them
that might be
around.
an option there.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then those are the questions I had from the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilperson. Councilperson Mathis?
Also, at the same time, with regards to the 5K, if I'm not mistaken, and the mayor can answer this, most of the time, the 5K basically, I mean, the village is only what? Most of the time, the most we've expended, I believe it was $500, but most of the time, for the 5K, it's money that's,
Okay.
Well, I can commit to sitting with our CFO team to get the itemization. We discussed it prior to this meeting, I mean, just moments before the meeting as well, about getting that. And I think that may be an opportunity for us to reallocate toward Easter or the other gala.
Now, how Erwin explained it to me one year, so the totality of what is donated and what the village spends must be reflected on that line. And then the offset is the revenue and miscellaneous. And then the miscellaneous revenue is the checks or cash or credit card of companies paying. So the totality here should not change even if it's donated. It's got to be all inclusive. What changes is the revenue.
Okay.
Okay, the
Very
miscellaneous
good.
revenue.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well,
Councilperson Mathis?
No, that's-
Okay, that's good. Anything else? So just, Ronnie and to our manager, is the Easter, we believe is important, we need to add that, and the dinner in Miami Shores as a camaraderie.
no problem.
Okay, and I think other than that, anything else in public affairs that you, okay. All right. Okay, great. Any other comments on the budget from the council?
No, Madam Mayor. One thing, Madam Mayor. Councilperson, if I may, Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, yeah. Thank
Councilperson
you.
Mathis, are you okay? Because I remember you also brought up something about you weren't happy with the tree trimming and lawn maintenance.
I actually met
Did you-
with the manager and the new maintenance team that's coming in.
So you're good.
And I think we are going to be totally blown out of luck.
Good, good. And you were concerned about the code enforcement.
Yeah, but
But you're good?
those issues were addressed, and
Okay.
so we're good there. I actually I was going to make a comment about the waste management, but I'll wait just a moment to make that comment. And then I had one other question about the developer fees for this fiscal. All those will land, yeah, I just have two more questions, I think.
Now, when it comes to the budget, there's never too many questions.
Madam Mayor, I'm done with my questioning, but Councilperson Urban and Councilperson Mathis said they have questions.
Okay, I'll do one at a time. Councilperson Urban, go ahead.
Okay, in general fund revenues, the line item of developer fees, I was just curious where we landed in that in terms of, with the annex property, for example, what fiscal year would any of those developer fees land? My question is really about fiscal years.
Yep.
In terms of what might be forecasted for, 2021 even, or, there you go. That's my initial question is.
Where did you see developer fees?
It's a zero balance, it's a zero line item, but I was just curious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was curious with the projects on the horizon here, my question is specifically which fiscal years would any eligible developer fees land?
We are currently in the month of September. Our fiscal year ends literally in a couple of weeks. So I'd be inclined to say that if that agreement goes through, then it would be at the next fiscal year.
And then we did not have, it for this current fiscal year that's ending in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
we did not have any developer fees?
No,
Okay.
that we actually
Okay.
get. No, and once that agreement is agreed by all of us and signed and executed, then there will have to be an amendment because the payment of that is not going to be one lump sum. So it's going to be an installment, so it'll have to be that
Okay.
that accordingly.
I just have one final question. I just need to find it here so I can direct you to it, but it's about the waste management contract. So, Madam Manager, while I look for this here, where did we land on a dollar amount for the Because the dollar amount here listed in the budget we're reviewing is the negotiated contract, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, what was I'm looking for here, but would you know that number off the top of your head?
No, I do not
wouldn't
know it
think
right
of
off
it,
the
yeah.
top of my
I
head,
did
I'm
think
sorry.
so. I saw it, but
Should be Public Works?
I
Yes.
thought I had, there we go,
Should be Public Works?
yeah. Give me one moment.
Close to the end.
Okay, as we look for that, it might be more of a comment than a question. I just want to say that as, whatever the dollar amount is, the net, is this a one-year contract? Or is this a multi-year contract?
We're in extension. It's a multi-year contract that was renewable every,
Like year to year?
yes, year to year.
Will we have, when would be the next opportunity to go back into negotiations with them regarding the next
I
contract,
am
whatever that
not
is?
recommending negotiations, I'm recommending an RFP.
Okay, wonderful.
And I
Okay.
will be doing it
Okay.
in the new fiscal year.
That makes me elated. I didn't think
Okay.
I'd ever be elated about waste management, but the reason is because what I've noticed is waste management used to have 2 guys at least to a truck, even 3 sometimes, and they've gone to the mechanical arm. So they have saved themselves a great deal of money by reducing their labor cost. Their trucks move faster, which means they're saving money on fuel. They are getting a sweetheart deal with El Portal, in my opinion, and cutting their own costs, and we remain at either the same level or an increased level for that contract. So, in addition to that, with the guy with the arm, he's texting and driving. I lost a can into a truck one day, and then cans laying all over the street, sideways, upside down, lids missing, things like this. Whereas before, with the 2 men to a truck, it was really kind of nice you actually were able to talk to your garbage man even, and they really did a fantastic job of taking care of the equipment and things like that. And so that's really just my comment, is that Waste Management, in my opinion, has saved themselves a great deal of money servicing our contract, and so I would want to be as aggressive as possible in the next negotiations.
Okay.
All right.
Any other comments?
I have a comment, but I'll discuss it with
CFO?
yeah. Sorry.
Any other comments or questions to the manager about the proposed budget?
No, Madam Mayor, I just hope that through the clerk that we're good with all of our finances as far as like what she needs for elections and things like that. I was looking at that, I don't know that, but so I was just hoping that's okay.
Well, next year is not an election year, it's the next fiscal year.
Maybe the 2020.
So that will be accordingly. My 2 questions actually would be, but I think I saw it in there, do we have sufficient monies in there to advertise for the trim for the new year? I see you have 10,000, so I know the trim notice is about 7,000 to 8,000. So is 10,000 enough for the trim? And then my other question is really for this year, is where are we going to get the 16,000 that it cost when Warner Jor resigned? When is that going to be paid, and at what budget is it going to be paid, for this fiscal year or for the next fiscal year? But that special election cost the village 16,000 when he quit.
That should be from this fiscal year.
So where is that coming out of?
It has to be out of my budget, but
Okay,
I'm not
so-
too sure. Whatever's left over from the budget, that's what,
We would have to do a reallocation from some other
reallocation
part.
from within my budget.
Sadly, yeah, that was
Okay,
an
so,
unexpected expense.
if we can just get that, I'd like to know what that amendment's going to look like anyway for this fiscal year. Councilperson Mathis?
I was just gonna ask, what overage does she have
think she has.
from this fiscal year going into the next one? There's no overages.
No. I mean,
There's no, I'm sorry, no surplus.
What I do ask each of you, if next week is this admin and finance, let's put it on that agenda to address that. Okay. Councilperson Urban?
I do actually have one more question, and that is in finance administration, the under professional fees, legal. I'm looking at 20,000 is specialized. Is that, how recently updated is that number?
That's pretty recent. We're in the holding pattern right now,
Okay.
awaiting another date that's going to take place in the next fiscal year, so that's.
So as we close out this fiscal year, we don't anticipate
No,
in the
there-
next 2 weeks any additional?
No.
Okay, all right.
Vice Mayor Nickerson, you're good?
Thank you very much,
Councilperson
Madam
Mathis?
Mayor, I appreciate it.
I'm going to go ahead and close the budget because I saw somebody walk in. Open up for public comments. Any comments? You were talked about.
We were talked about.
About 20 minutes ago. Yes, not by us, because we always rave about you, but it was by your peer, one of your residents. Your neighbor, better said. No comments?
Which neighbor?
Anna Ward.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah, well, she said the same thing
She
about you.
loves you,
Any comments?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to close public comments and open it up back to the council. Any other questions for the manager on this resolution?
No, Madam, no.
Okay, hearing none, Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call?
Roll call, Councilperson Earlbaum.
Yes.
Councilperson Mathis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Mayor Cubillos.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
For point of order and note, the second and final budget hearing is September 24th at 6:30. That is September 24th at 6:30, which is right before a regular scheduled council meeting. At this time, good and welfare? Okay, hearing none, I just have one point. If I can please have the American flag brought back up. I think it was taken down during the State of the Village. And I think it's in the office over here. It was taken down when the honor guard was here. And then the second point is, I'm going to be emailing the clerk and the manager to see the availability of the council. I want to go on, and the chief, I want to, and the police officers, I want to go deliver these, one round was already delivered to the county. So I'll send an email out to see what's a good time for Edmondson's office and what's a good time for all of you to go on Saturday. So that email will go out to the clerk and to the manager and to the chief, okay? And with that said, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion's been made by Councilperson Mathis, second by
I'll second the motion.
Councilperson Erbram. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Our budget hearing ends at 7:27 PM. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.